Hi, I'm Steve Cotton. Welcome to Growers
and Showers. I'm Michael Roll, back for episode 2. Let's get cooking.
So, Mike, what do you think?
This is a lot, so you gotta tell me what's going on.
Well, you know, one of the things I love to do, as you know, is I like to bake.
Right.
But if you do, like, if you're trying to bake sourdough bread, that's a whole process. It ends up taking about 36 hours. So, what I thought I would do today with you is show you how we can make a really good bread and do it in less than 2 hours.
Okay. What kind of bread?
So we're going to do a focaccia bread.
Ooh.
Yeah, and I know there are people out there that say, oh no, focaccia bread, you need to take 8 to 10 hours to proof the dough, etc. And I'm not saying they're wrong, but I'm going to show you if you need this, because you're going to have dinner with someone and you want to have focaccia bread with it, this is an easy way to do it. One of the things though that I do before I start baking anything is I do a little mise en place.
Oh.
You know what that is?
Miss in place?
Miss in place? That's another way to say it, but it's actually a French word, and I actually kind of like it because what the idea is, before you even begin to bake, before you start executing your recipe,
yeah,
you get everything put in place. You know how you probably watch cooking shows where they got all the bowls, everything's all chopped up and nice and neat.
Right.
That's mise en place.
Okay.
Right?
Gotcha.
And so the idea is if you get everything in order, you won't miss a step.
Makes sense.
You'll actually get a better recipe or a better product. Actually, you know, we always talk about business.
Right.
Same thing in business, right? Like you're doing a startup. Before you go starting that business, you got to kind of sit back, think about the recipe you're going to bake to build that business, and start putting the pieces in place before day one of you opening your business. Make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So, ingredient, part of the business, where you're going to get your capital, who's going to run it, how you're going to do your marketing, things like that. So those are all the ingredients,
or even something as basic as what kind of corporation are you going to use, are you even going to use a corporation?
Right.
Okay. So anyway, but let's do some baking right now. So what I'm going to do here is I need about 320 grams of water. Okay. Now most people would just say, well, that's a cup and a half of water. But I like to use a scale, which is what this is.
So it's not a cup and a half.
It's 320 grams.
All right, that's what it is.
It is what it is, and it's lukewarm water. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get that done first. And so I'm going to weigh this, and now I'm going to change the unit to grams.
So just for the viewer, we got some good honey.
Yeah.
Fleischmann's active dry yeast.
Yeah.
Some awesome
olive oil.
Organic. Yep. And some Pam original spray. All right.
Yeah, that's what we got. And so the first thing I'm going to do is get lukewarm water. And by the way, a lot of people try to be really exacting on this. I don't. From your tap, the water typically is 75 to 80 degrees.
Okay.
Anyways.
All right.
So I just go ahead and I'm going to go like this, and I'm going to say, put a cup and a half in, because that's what I think it'll run to get to 320 grams. And actually, you don't even have to be too exact on this, because you'll just, okay, so this came in at 340 grams. I'm going to leave it up because I'll measure it again when I get ready to put it in there. But what I'm going to do now is put that aside. I know that for my yeast, I have to have at least a tablespoon of yeast. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in here. And I don't know about you, I like using these, they call them mise en place bowls.
Right.
Because I put all my ingredients in there.
These little guys?
Yeah. And I know I'm going to need another tablespoon of salt.
All right, I'm learning a lot today. We got the mise en place bowls.
Yeah, mise en place bowls.
That's news to me.
Yeah. And on the salt, you can use either Morton's kosher salt or diamond salt. Either one's fine.
Okay.
And again, I use about a tablespoon, but it's your own preference. I don't like too much salt, but I want some. Okay? So now I got all that done. And I need about 60 grams of olive oil divided. Okay? So what that means is I'm gonna need 2 bowls, and I'm gonna try to get 60 grams, and I'm gonna divide it into 2 bowls at 30 grams each, okay? So my bowl here is 157 grams. Hit the tar, and let's get 30 grams of oil in there.
Don't go over.
Oh, it won't matter. I can tell you, I always do, and there's always tricks to get around it.
All right.
Yeah. See, I did go over. You tricked me. But it doesn't matter. I love olive oil, the more the merrier. Don't really care if I go over.
I'll tell you what, if my focaccia has a little bit of extra olive oil, I'm not mad.
No. And actually the best part is olive oil on the bottom of the bread, because it makes it a little crisper.
Now you're taking me back to Milano.
Yeah. So here we go, I'm getting another 30 grams, because we're gonna need it. So at this point, I got my oil, I got my salt, I got my yeast, and I've got my thyme, which I'm gonna use to put on top of the bread. And then I actually think it's important to have the right bowl. So I use a bowl like this for putting the water and the yeast in. And the reason I do that is when I go to put the water in, when I'm mixing the flour, it'll pour in easier.
Okay.
If it's too wide, some of it will spill out.
Gotcha.
See what I'm saying?
Yep.
So here's why I told you it doesn't matter if I go over. So in this case, I'm gonna put this bowl on here, and it weighs 340 grams. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna put my 320 grams of water in, along with the yeast, and it'll measure it for me. So I'm gonna just pour this together. I'm gonna set that aside now. Now, one thing you can do if you like, do you like honey?
Love honey.
Okay. So what you can do, and that's why I had it out here, is you can also add, if you want, a little bit of honey to this mix.
Yeah, see, that's new to me. I didn't know people put honey in.
Yeah, and I don't really even measure it. I just do something like this. I don't want a lot, but I do want a little. And then the best part about being the cook or the baker, to get a, and this, I don't know about you, Mike, there are so many good boutique, honey makers here in Southern California. So this one's Backyard Bees, harvested in the OC.
Ah, okay, I like it. Local, buy local.
Yeah, and it's really good stuff. So, all right, so we're gonna let that sit for 5 minutes. All right, just let it sit, and it'll start doing its job. While that's doing that, I now need 420 grams of flour. Okay. And all I'm gonna do is just start putting it in until I get to 420 grams. What we do now is we're gonna take this, take it over to our KitchenAid mixer, and we're gonna take our olive oil, and we're gonna take our salt, and we're gonna mix this all together. So, now we've had the yeast and the water sitting for about 5 minutes. Now we can just mix it in and start making a dough. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get that out of there onto the pan, and I'm gonna spread it, and then we'll let it sit for an hour, and we can talk a little shop. What do you think?
Perfect plan.
So now what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna pour some olive oil on here, on the pan that we prepared earlier. And I kinda like to do it like this so that it'll spread out, right? And I can tell you right now, for me, I'm gonna put more olive oil on top, but that's just because I love olive oil. Most recipes just call for you doing what I've done.
Massaging your stomach.
Oh, I'll tell you, it's clearly the best. I mean, you got to get the right oil, but olive oil to me is like the best of the oils. How about you? I do a tablespoon every morning. Just take it in. That's how much I love it. And then, you can do this, right? This is what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna do it like this. I'm gonna just take the dough and I'm gonna get it and I'm gonna bring it down and drop it into the pan. Just like this. Getting all that goodness out. Boom. I am in business. And so then what I'll do is I'll take that dough and I will work it so that it starts to spread out. And don't be afraid to do it. You do this with your hands. You don't have to do it with a spatula. I mean, some people don't like to do that. People tell them, but you're gonna get germs or whatever. But remember, you're gonna be cooking this at about 375. So now you'll notice, right, I'm having a hard time getting it to spread. Don't worry about that. After it sits for an hour, it'll completely fill in.
Okay.
Yeah, but I always like to kind of get it spread around a little bit so that it's, because when it goes up, it'll fill this entire pan, meaning the whole thing. But we'll let it sit there now for an hour. We'll leave it at that. Whoa, dude, I'm glad that bread's rising. Well, while we're just kicking back.
Yeah.
I wanted to reflect on that event yesterday on the business side.
Yeah. So
were you shocked by
boardroom
that?
to the kitchen. Yeah. For the viewers, company hired us, CNR Capital, to get through the acquisition process. A major corporation came to them and said, "We want to buy your company." And they didn't know what to do, how to do it, where to go, and they had a million questions. So they hired us. We've taken companies through exits multiple times. And yesterday was supposed to be kind of the final meeting before we wrapped up and closed today. And we were alerted that it got pushed back. Considerable amount of time. Almost a month.
Yeah, well, it is, right? Mid-January, I think they're talking about. Did you buy the reason they gave us as to why they were delaying it?
No, absolutely not. So there was 3 executives on the call kind of dancing around what was happening, why they were doing it. Main thing they said was, it's the end of the year. We're kind of hampered down. People are busy traveling with the holiday. The timing isn't just working out for us, but the deal's still on. So good that they still have the interest to buy them. The deal's still on, but yeah, I wasn't buying it. What did you think?
I think the people that we were working with don't have any more knowledge than we do as to why it was delayed.
Right.
I think my experience in my business life, that usually what happens is somebody starts questioning it, and you're trying to get them over the line. At the same time, you're trying to keep, the company you're trying to buy, the principals of that, shareholders, happy. And I think that's what's going on here. I think there's probably a high likelihood they'll go forward with the acquisition just because of some of the representations they've made. But yeah, that does happen. I mean, there's a couple things I've learned over the years, Mike. It's like every deal, as you know, has 9 lives, right? So usually when it's on again, it's on, it's off, it's on again, it's off.
Yep.
So I'm not really surprised to see that. What I haven't seen is where you're literally supposed to be having a meeting to go over the signing of the docs and the funding of the deal. So I was surprised that they gave us the delay, literally. Man, you want to talk about 11th hour?
That very
11th hour, 50th minute or whatever, right? So, but I do think it'll go through. I guess the other thing that I get from that is, if you're an entrepreneur and you're selling your business, or even if you're raising money, don't be going with one horse. And if you're gonna go with one horse, then make sure there's a breakup fee.
Right.
Make sure that if their deal doesn't go through, meaning the person who's trying to either finance you or acquire you,
Yeah.
that it's painful for them. Otherwise, you put yourself in an untenable position.
Huge risk, yeah. So for what we're seeing, you know, the company that hired us, they closed their lines of credit, closed the credit cards. Everything was pretty much set to be acquired the very next morning. So yeah, you can imagine to run a business, having these things that you need on a daily to be shut down, taken away. Now they're saying it could be another month. As a business owner, you want to get out, you want to make your money, but you kind of feel slighted. You're hampering your way of doing business. So there's some steps to be made. Maybe you find a new buyer. I don't know.
Well, I mean, honestly, the way I've always done it is you run an auction. And of course, in this case, they weren't planning to sell, as you know. And this person or this company came out. I mean, it's a great company, good reputation. But it just goes to show you really need to have more than one person at the table. I mean, how many times have we seen guys run out of money because they only had one person at the table?
Counting on something that, you know, might not come through. It's just another reminder on the daily, you know, nothing's done until it's actually signed and money has been transferred into the bank account. So you just can't sit there and hope. You just gotta wait for it to get done, and you operate all the way up until that signature.
Yeah, well, you know what we'll do? Because this shareholder, you know, he's a great guy, the selling shareholder that we represent. I talked to him, and we'll get him on this blog, and we'll interview him.
Okay.
See what was going through his mind as an entrepreneur. I mean, yeah, because I mean, you think about it, he's going to close today on the 20th, relax, enjoy Christmas.
Right.
And
well, it's a funny process. Originally, it was slated for January of 2024.
Right.
Then they bumped it up. They wanted to hurry the process. It was going to be end of November. And then it was December 13th. And then it got pushed to the 15th. And the 15th came like, well, we need a few more days. December 20th. Okay, we come to our meeting yesterday thinking it's just about over. We get told from the three executives, we need some more time, blah, blah, blah. And sure it is going to be back to January, the original time slate. It's just funny.
Oh, it's weird, right? Because the reason that they gave us for our viewers is they needed to get the group CEO to sign off on it. So I'm sitting there going, they need 4 weeks to do that?
Right.
Right, because I mean, due diligence is done,
Yeah.
paperwork's done, everything's done. And so we'll see what happens. But I think the key takeaway for me is, and it's an age-old problem, is to your point, you got to have options.
Yeah.
You know? And the better your options are, the better outcome you're going to get to from a price perspective.
Yeah, always. If people are bidding against each other,
Yeah.
you're just going to raise the price, going to make it easier process for the seller, and we're looking forward to show you what they go through.
So that was interesting from my point of view.
I'm sure the owners weren't so interested in it, probably pretty upset last night. It's unfortunate.
It is unfortunate, you know, and then, you know, but I mean, I wonder, I guess one of the things I'm wondering is do you think that there's still apprehension out there in the marketplace about doing deals, even though we've seen, you know, we've seen the market this last week and a half done really well. I mean, it was up 9% in November.
Yeah, I don't think the market is kind of telling the full picture of where the economy is, where businesses are. A lot of that is the Magnificent Seven, you know, just running crazy. But I think there is a lot of apprehension in doing deals. The buyer here is a multi-billion-dollar company, so, you know, what's a couple $1 million to them? But it just goes to show, you know, everything has to be signed off on. They're questioning everything and kind of redoing due diligence.
Yeah, I agree. Well, we'll see what happens. I mean, we'll keep our audience posted. It's I'll tell you one thing, I do like this quiet though right now. Right, a little bit of lull, because it gives you a chance to kind of reflect on the whole year.
Yeah.
Right. And you know, I think something that we ought to do is, you know, we can do it this week or we can do it next week, but We ought to do the top 10 lessons that we learned in 2023.
Oh, that's good.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there was
a lot.
There was some doozies.
There's a lot you learn in a down economy, down business world. The SaaS world kind of went through a recession, starting to come back now. So yeah, we learned a lot. We're hoping to share that with you guys, and hopefully you can take away some things that we're teaching.
Yeah, let's do that next week. That'll be our year-end show.
All right, top 10 learnings of 2023.
Yeah, you're probably about 40.
We're gonna have to, funnel them down to the top 10.
So now we can see, right, before we had very little dough, it wasn't filled out in the pan. Now it has filled out. You can see the olive oil around, right? And now what I'm gonna do is just kind of push that a little bit. And I'm gonna do this, which I recommend. I'm gonna take 3 fingers and I'm just gonna stick them in there and try to make holes. This is not doing that well on that, but that's okay. It won't impact the flavor. Just would be nice if it would a little more fluff. And then what I like to do is I just throw, you can throw whatever you want. You can throw rosemary on there. You could throw, I don't know. This is thyme that I'm gonna throw
Garlic.
on. You could throw garlic on if you wanted to. And what I do is I just tear it apart, put a little here, a little there. Don't really worry about exactly having it. It's really more for, some of it's taste, but to be honest with you, I think it's more visual than anything else. Now, I will take this focaccia and throw it in the oven. Where she cooks, nobody knows. And we'll let that cook for about 30 minutes and we'll check on it. All right, here we go. Focaccia on the go. Tell you, you gotta be careful when you pull this out. Really hot. And there we go. Focaccia on the go.
That's very good.
Yeah, we'll let that cool for a little bit. And we'll do a little taste. All right, so here we go.
The last bite, we're gonna try Steve's focaccia.
Yeah, I'm gonna try it. I'm trying mine with a little bit of date chutney, see what that's all about.
I split mine into 2 and go a little olive oil and sea salt and then a little chutney. See which way is better.
Very nice. Let's see what you think.
All right, a little olive oil and sea salt. The carbs before noon.
You like that?
I like that.
Yeah. Well, I think it was a great idea for us to do this series because it gives us an excuse to eat everything that we probably shouldn't be eating.
Right.
But what the heck?
We get to talk business, warm into the kitchen, get to eat some good food.
I'm gonna try this local honey. What did you think of that?
The date jam on that,
Is that jamming?
much better than I had anticipated.
Yeah. I don't know where I learned that, but I think I had made a, you said you like mango chutney. I made a mango chutney, and then somebody told me about this, and it's great. So.
Yeah, Orange, California.
And it's funny, chutney is really easy to make. You just basically are reducing down. Like in the case of, let's say, did mangoes and tomatoes together. I've done chutney with serranos in it, jalapenos in it to give it a spice. Yeah, there's so many different ways to cook everything. But it's kind of like how it is in business. There's so many different ways to get at it.
Right.
There's no wrong or right answer, but this is definitely a good last bite. I enjoyed it. Good talking with you today, Mike.
Thanks, that was informative, I had fun, and it tastes even better.
Same here. That's a wrap. Boom.